Hi everyone, it's Kelly here. Welcome to my channel if this is your first visit. Welcome back if you've been before. Lovely to have you either way. On this channel we talk books, and today I am recording a tag video. I don't do these very often, but this is the second time that I've done this particular tag, and it's the mid-year freakout tag for 2023. I will link up in the cards to last year's mid-year freakout tag. If you would like to see where I was up to at this point last year. I'm not sure why you would, but that's where the link will be. Okay, so let's get straight into the tag. I'm going to read out the prompt, and then I am going to either show you or tell you about, or both, the book that I am going to give for that prompt. So the first prompt is the best book you've read so far in 2023. And my choice for this prompt was Chai Time at Cinnamon Gardens by Shankari Chandran. I recently read this, and I will link to the video where I reviewed this book. I absolutely adored it. I thought it was amazing. It made me cry. It made me feel things. Just a stunning, stunning book, and I highly, highly recommend. The second prompt is the best sequel you've read so far in 2023. And as far as I'm aware, I don't actually think I have read a single sequel this year, so I'm going to skip right over that one. Number 3 is a new release you haven't read yet, but you want to. So I've got 2 for this one. The first one is a non-fiction title, Strong Female Character by Fern Brady. The call number for this one is 792.702890. If you are joining us for the non-fiction reading challenge, where we are reading a book based on the Dewey decimal system. So that's the call number. If you are looking for a book for your 700s, this could be a good choice. I'm really excited to read this. So Fern Brady is the comedian and entertainer, and this is a book all about her life. She is an autistic person, so she talks about this in the book, and also she just generally talks about her experience kind of navigating the world, and I'm assuming the comedy scene. So I am very much looking forward to reading this new release title. And the other book that I have for this prompt is one that I'm going to be reading very soon, I hope, and that is The Bookbinder of Jericho by Pip Williams. So this is a book that is written by the same author, and it apparently is, it says here, a companion novel to the international bestseller, The Dictionary of Lost Words, which is a book that I read and loved and gave 5 stars to. So I am excited about this one. This will be my second book written by this author. So I'm hoping that it's going to be as good. My friend Elizabeth on her channel reviewed this book recently, and I'll link to her review up in the cards, but she said this was better than the Dictionary of Lost Words. So I will take that recommendation, and I'm hoping that I will agree with her by the time I finish reading it. So those are 2 books that I'm very excited to read that are new release titles. Okay, number 4, most anticipated release for the second half of the year. Now, I'm not a massive one for following, what books are coming out, unless it's an author I particularly like or a series I particularly like, and I'm keen for, something that's coming up. My answer for this one is going to be the exact same book that I gave as the answer to the prompt last year. And that is because they delayed the release of this book until this year. So the answer for this question is Silverborn, The Mystery of Morrigan Crow by Jessica Townsend. This is the 4th book in the Nevermore series. So I've read books 1 through 3, really, really loved them. So I'm very excited. It's a children's book. I don't think it's YA. It's sort of like a middle grade, I guess. And I'm very excited for that book. Was devastated to hear that they were delaying the release. And I'm not sure why they did that, but it is what it is. Okay, so that's the one I'm looking forward to in the second half of this year. And I believe it comes out in August. So I guess we will soon see if they are following through with the adjusted deadline for release. Okay, number 5 is biggest disappointment. And this is going to be controversial. So I kind of apologize, but I stand by it. That is Babel by R.F. Kuang. Babel, An Arcane History, and I think it also has a secondary title. Yeah, or Babel or the Necessity of Violence, An Arcane History of the Oxford Translators' Revolution by R.F. Kuang. This did not meet my expectations. It was a very hyped book. A lot of people absolutely love it. So people have been talking about it in their reviews, just ones that I've read as well as on BookTube. Lots of people loving Babel. I did not. I did not love this book. I think I thought I was going to, and at the beginning of the book, I still was feeling like I was going to love this book. And then about halfway through, the tone and pacing and everything completely changes, and not in a way that I was in support of. So it was unfortunate, and there were some choices made character-wise that were disappointing to me. So yeah, unfortunately, this was not it for me. I'll link up in the cards to my review of Babel if you want to hear more about what I thought about it. So I apologize if this is one of your favorites of this year or last year, but it unfortunately was disappointing for me. Okay, I gave it 2.5 stars, and it's not the book that I've rated the lowest this year. I have rated a book lower, but I didn't have as high expectations for that other book. So this was more of a disappointment to me. Okay, number 6 is Biggest Surprise, and I do not have a copy of the book that I am going to count for my biggest surprise. That is Bad Art Mother by Edwina Preston, and I will link up in the cards to the video where I reviewed Bad Art Mother. I read that book because it was shortlisted for the Stella Prize here in Australia, and I had initially read a couple of chapters and I had put it aside like a DNF, an unofficial DNF, because I hadn't sort of indicated to anybody that I'd started reading it. But I put it aside because I was looking through all the Stella books, deciding which ones to prioritize. And I started reading it and I was like, this is okay, but it's not grabbing me. The writing's not grabbing me. Well, imagine my surprise when it actually turned out to be a brilliant book. I had to go and get myself another copy from the library because I had returned it, and then it ended up on the shortlist. And so I wanted to read all of the books from the shortlist. So yeah, I was super surprised that I ended up loving it. I can't remember exactly what I gave it, and I haven't written it in my notes here, but it was something in the vicinity of 4 to 4.5 stars. It ended up being a really, really great book for me, and one that I really, really enjoyed. So yeah, big surprise for me. Okay, the next one is my favorite new author, debut or new to you. So I've got 2 answers for this. Now, favorite is a strong word. So I don't know that I would necessarily characterize these exactly as favorite authors, but these are authors whose books I have enjoyed, and I'm really excited to read another of their books, or, whatever they're going to produce next. One of them was one that I read, I believe, in January, and it's Claire Keegan. I read Small Things Like These by Claire Keegan, and I really enjoyed this book. I thought the writing was just exquisite, so I am very keen to read more Claire Keegan as time goes on. And the other one that I really, really enjoyed, and I believe this is a debut author as well. So that was Isobel Beech, Sunbathing. So this is, again, another one that neither of these were books I gave 5 stars to. However, there's something about the writing that makes me think that these are going to be authors that I'm going to really, really enjoy reading more from, So the fact that I didn't give these particular books 5 stars, I don't think indicates that they're not favorites. You know what I mean? Yeah. So very excited to read more from Isobel Beech. This book was really, really well written and very interesting. So, and great description, all sorts of things that I really, really love in a book were in this book. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to read more. Okay, my pile beside me is getting a bit chaotic here, but we'll continue. Okay,
My newest fictional crush. Okay, I'm not one to have crushes, and I'm going to kind of join it with the next one, which is newest favorite character. So this is, again, we come back to Chai Time at Cinema Gardens, which was one of my faves. Well, has been my fave so far for the beginning of this year. And the character of Reuben in this book really is just something else. And he is a brilliant, very nuanced, multi-dimensional character that I really could get behind. So I really enjoyed that character in Chai Time at Cinema Gardens. Okay, a book that made me cry. Oh, don't put it down, Kelly. This is the book. The book that made me cry was this book. I cried the most in reading this book as things were beginning to conclude. There were some events that happened towards the end of the book that just broke me as a human. And so, yeah, this was the book that made me cry. I loved it. It was so good. Right, a book that made me happy. Well, I mean, crying doesn't necessarily preclude being happy. However, I decided to choose a book that I read that felt really wholesome and made me feel like sort of that wholesome joy that you can sometimes get from reading a book. And that is Nimona by Noelle Stevenson. I've only just read this one in June, so I haven't yet recorded my review of Nimona, but I really loved this book. This was such a wholesome read. I loved the character of Nimona, and the relationship that these guys have in the book is just so wholesome. And yeah, I loved it. It made me really joyful on the inside to read. So highly recommend. Okay, number 12 is the most beautiful book bought or received so far this year. Now, I have purchased and received many beautiful books, but I think the one that takes the cake is this one, A Magic Steeped in Poison by Judy Linn. This is, I mean, a purely cover by Shirley. The artwork on this book is just absolutely exquisite. The most beautiful book, I think, potentially that I own. That's a bold claim. Certainly up there, but it's beautiful. And I'm glad that I now own it. Very happy to have this one in my collection. The final question is books that I need to read by the end of the year. Need is a strong word. So technically speaking, zero, none. However, let me give you an update of where I'm up to at this halfway point of the year. So my total number goal for books to read by the end of this year is 52. It's a goal that I now set for myself every year. I don't increase or decrease it. I'd like to read basically about a book a week for the year. And at this point of the year, I am up to number 30. So I am well ahead of my goal, if I can keep up the pace that I'm keeping, to achieve that by the end of the year. I'm not concerned about that. I think I'm going to be able to manage it, no problem at all. And just in terms of like specific books that I want to read by the end of the year, I have a couple of challenges going on. So the first is the challenge that I mentioned earlier on in the video, which is the Dewey Decimal Nonfiction Reading Challenge that I'm hosting. It's over on Storygraph. I'll link it below. If you would like to join us and kind of catch up, you so can. We're only halfway through the year. You can read 10 nonfiction books by the end of the year. It'll be fine. So I am almost halfway through the challenge. So I'm pleased that I've managed to get to where I've gotten to so far in the challenge. I'm reading my 5th of the 10 books currently, and I will hopefully be finishing that one in the next couple of days. So that will be another one off the list, and that's the one that I'm reading for the 500s, which is Diary of a Young Naturalist by Dara McAnulty, with call number 508.092. which I could have got a copy for. Oh, here. I've got the slipcover of it right here. We'll pretend that the book is inside, but I've got the hardcover sitting on my nightstand at the moment. So Diary of a Young Naturalist is the book that I'm currently reading for the 500s. Okay, so then I'll tell you which prompts I have left for that challenge. I won't go into this level of detail for the other challenges that we're going to talk about, but because this is the one I'm hosting, I kind of have a plan of where I want to go with this. So I haven't yet read a book from the 000s, and I've got two options that I'm kind of thinking about. So one of them is Decolonize Museums by Shimrit Lee with the call number 069. And the other one is one that I hauled earlier this year, Index A History of the by Dennis Duncan with the call number of 025.3. So I feel like I'm going to choose one of these two for the 000 prompt, but I'm not yet sure which one I'm going to feel like when the time comes. For the 100s, I recently, so I had a book that I had shown you in the 100s video that I had borrowed from a library, and then I was able to get a copy for a really good price. So I actually bought myself a copy, and that is Be My Guest, Reflections on Food, Community and the Meaning of Generosity by Priya Basil, which also has a stunning cover that's sort of like a dinner plate, I guess, with a really gorgeous design. I could easily have shown this one as in terms of beautiful books as well. The call number for this one is 177.1. So yeah, I am excited to read this. It's also very, very slim, a slim volume. So I think I'll be able to get through it in a relatively reasonable amount of time. The 200s, I haven't yet decided what I want to read for this one. And if you have any recommendations for that, I would greatly appreciate it, because nothing that I own on my shelf is kind of jumping out at me at the moment in terms of like saying, pick me, pick me. I can certainly go back and borrow something from the library. My hope was to kind of try and read books that were on my shelf for each of the prompts. So, you know, having said that though, all of these books are brand new that I'm showing you, the ones that I'm going to be reading. So, you know, maybe I do just borrow a book for it, but nothing that's on my shelf that I own is jumping out at me as wanting to be selected at this point. So yeah, I still need to get a bit of inspiration there. I've read a book from the 300s. 400s, I recently received this book and it meets this prompt. It's called An Admirable Point, A Brief History of the Exclamation Mark by Florence Hasrat with a call number of 411. So this one I only just got recently, and I don't even think I have recorded the whole video yet for it. So it's literally just come this month. So yeah, I will be reading that one for 400s. 500s I'm currently reading. 600s I've already read. 700s I'm going to be reading this one that I already spoke about, Strong Female Character by Fern Brady. So that's where I'm up to. I've already read 800s and 900s. So yeah, I'm roughly halfway through, which is where I wanted to be at this point in the year, in the challenge. So I'm pleased with my progress so far, and I'm just going to keep plugging away at that, and I'm happy with where I'm up to. Okay, so then I move on to other sort of reading projects, I guess you could say. So I'm also reading currently some books from the Miles Franklin Award long list, and I've read a couple. Two of them I had already read before the long list was announced, and I've finished 2 more. So I've read 4 out of the however many there are. I think there's like 11, somewhere in that vicinity. So I don't know if I'm going to, I don't want to commit to reading the entire long list, but I want to give them all a chance at least. So I actually have a bunch of them that I have borrowed from the library, which are Enclave by Claire G. Coleman. I've got The Lovers by Kassab. It's covered over by the sticker. Yumina Kassab, which has a beautiful cover also. This one is called Waypoints, and it is by Adam Houston. And the other one I've got from the library currently is Hopeless Kingdom by, I don't know how to pronounce this name, so I apologize, I'm not going to try. Yeah, so those are the ones I've got from the library. I own 2 more in physical copy. So Cold Enough for Snow by Jessica Au is one that I am very excited to get to at some point, but I kind of feel like I have to prioritize the library ones because I got to go back, you know, etc. And the other one that I own in physical copy is 40 Nights by Pirooz Jafari. So they're from the long list. I have another one, and I'll put it up on the screen. I can't recall the name of it. Maduka, I think it's called. Anyway, I have that on my e-reader, so I will be reading it in that format. So yeah, that is a stack about to fall over. That is the Miles Franklin long list that I'm sort of vaguely reading through, and maybe I will get through all of them, or maybe I'll just give them all a try, and if they're not grabbing me, just kind of leave them be. I think I will still try and read at least all of the short list. So yeah, that's sort of my vague plan for the Miles Franklin this year. The other prize that I was attempting to read through, and then I decided to do basically what I've just explained I'm planning on doing for the Miles Franklin, is the Stella Prize. So I have read quite a few. I read all of the shortlist. I have, all bar one, because I've not finished it, and I put it down and I haven't sort of been drawn to pick it back up. Not because it's bad, I haven't been in the right headspace. And that's Hydra by Adrian Howell. So I would like to finish this one before the end of the year if I can. And then the other books I'm either not going to read or have already read. But there's one more, and that is, which I purchased. It's a poetry collection called Decadence by Toy. I'm not sure if that's how you say it. Tai On. So I would like to read this poetry collection at some point as well this year. So those are the sort of ones that I have to read. I've also got potentially a couple of buddy reads as well. I'm saying potentially. I've got a couple of buddy reads that I'm wanting to do before the end of this year. And I will talk more about those as well when I come to wrap up those books as I've been reading them. So a few things that I've got on the horizon, and definitely plenty of books to keep me going for the rest of the year. And of course, like the many books that I have stacked up on bookshelves all around the house. So yeah, there's never a shortage of books in this house for reading. And of course, the e-reader as well. I've got so many books, so many books. However, I have a haul coming. I've just done a really big haul because I treated myself to some secondhand book shopping. So anyway, I'm very excited about that, and I'll be very pleased to bring that to you very soon, because I found, I think, some gems. All right, so that is my mid-year book freakout tag. I'm not freaking out. I'm fine. How are you going? I hope you're fine and kind of moving along at a cracking pace with your own reading goals this year. I'd love to hear all about yours. If you've made a video and you would like me to check it out, if you've done this tag also, then please feel free to share. Tell me down in the comments, because I like watching these and sort of seeing where everyone's at halfway through the year. And yeah, so thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I look forward to chatting to you again very soon on the next one. Bye.